the magician, the lover in you. Every single day, we are called to walk in our purpose. Answer the call. Lay down your burden and anything that holds you back and take your rightful place. The battle is everywhere. It's right in your face. Let's go.
Welcome to Magnets, Crystals, and Pyramids. Success is your destiny. Yes. Love, wisdom, power. Remember this always. I am who you are. Yes. Yes. I am love, wisdom, power. Yes. Yes. I am love, yes, power. Yes. I am yes, I am love, wisdom, power. Yes, yes, I am love, wisdom, power. Master. Yes, I am. Yes, love, wisdom, power. Yes, I am. Say yes to yourself. Yes, I am protected. Yes, I am master. I am yes.
Peace, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to Moorish Monday with Abdullah Il Talib Mosi Bey. We have a preview of our upcoming course, which begins on May 10th. The Trust and Contractual Legal Safeguards. King Al Bey will be joining us shortly. Brother Israel, you're going to be you'll be doing most of the reading. And I did talk to King a few minutes ago. So once again, welcome everyone. That will be scroll across the screen for the next 2 hours. Is my website, mooresandmasonry.org. If you're interested in getting any of my books, Moors and Masonry Part 1, Moors and Masonry Part 2, How Her Venus and Moon Rule, Etymology, Vocabulary, the Masonic Compass to Square and the Connection and Measurement of Timekeeping, Etymology and Vocabulary, and go to mooresandmasonry.org. I did put the Eventbrite link. I shared it to my Facebook page, Abdullah Bey, about 10 minutes ago. The Eventbrite link for the course. Anybody interested? Will be a preview of the upcoming course, which will be in 12 days, I guess, 12, 13 days. Yeah, so I'm gonna let you. You'll just read the flyer, Israel, and you continue to read. King will be on. I'm gonna jump off and see where King is.
All right. So this is the trust.
Try to call him.
Trust and contractual legal safeguards. This 12-week course provides an in-depth exploration of trusts, contracts, and the legal mechanisms that safeguard them. Our course, Master Trust Functions. Discover the role of a trust protector. Intellectual property law. Demystify assignors and assignees. Understand power of attorney. Navigate licensing, leading, and renting. Lending and renting. Strengthen your contracts, and much more. The new date, Saturday, May 10th, 2025. Duration, 12 weeks. Starting date, Saturday, May 10th, 2025. 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Format, 100% online with the live Q&A, question and answers, sessions. Tuition, $299.99. Moroccan Post for the people. For more information, contact Brother Abdullah Bey at 215-300-5471 or by email at etymologyvocabulary@gmail.com. Trust and contracts, legal safeguards. Teacher, King L. Bay. Coming, May 10th, 2025. Duration, 12-week schedule. Course outline and overview. This 12-week course provides an in-depth exploration of trusts, contracts, and the legal mechanisms that safeguard them. Each week builds upon the last, offering a comprehensive understanding to help you navigate and apply these concepts effectively in both personal and professional contexts. The dates for the 12-week contract and legal safeguards course: Saturdays. It'll be on Saturdays. May 10th, 2025. It'll be the first Saturday. Second Saturday, May 17th, 2025. The third, May 24th, 2025. The fourth Saturday, May 31st, 2025. The fifth Saturday, June 7th, 2025. The sixth Saturday, June 14th, 2025. The seventh Saturday, June 21st, 2025. The eighth Saturday, June 28th, 2025. The ninth Saturday, July 5th, 2025. The 10th Saturday, July 12th, 2025. The 11th Saturday, July 19th, 2025. And the 12th Saturday, July 26th, 2025. So mark those dates. Right. Week 1, the introduction to trust. Students will learn the fundamentals of trust, including definitions, purposes, and the roles of the settlor, trustee, and beneficiary. This foundational week sets the stage by discussing the legal basis and common uses of trust in estate planning and asset protection.
Hey, King, what we'll do is our Israel will read each week, and then you'll just give a little summary.
Okay. So we need to understand, once we come into this legal system, what are the two basic types of trust, right? I'm just going to give you have a common law, and then you have a statutory trust. Okay. What is a statutory trust? That's something that is created through creation of state, right? Just like an LLC. It's a corporate entity that's created through the state, government, right? Through some type of legislative act. Then you have your common law, right? That's dealing with fundamental rights, right? Your right to contract. So you want to be able to have the right to be able to contract with the people you want to contract with, right? So when you understand these, you start understanding, okay, what is a settlor or the grantor, right? Same difference. Trustee, trust protector. What is the function of each one of these? The grantor put the assets or grant something to the trust. The trustee pretty much operating the trust. The trust protector, simple, he protects the trust. Then you got beneficiaries, those who receive the benefits of the trust. So it don't necessarily, an individual or a person don't have to be the beneficiary. It could be another trust. It could be a corporation. It could be a holding company, a holding trust. It could be a holding corporation, right? Depends on how you designate it. It's based on your ability, right? On how you understand this information. the better you can incorporate it, the better you can do with it. So this is not a one size fit all, because if you don't understand trust, you shouldn't have a real complicated trust set up. You should, as you evolve in your knowledge and understanding, right? You evolve on the setup that you have. Your trust setup can be a little more sophisticated. But if you a lot of us um need to understand one of the first basic steps we need is a will. So some of us don't even have that. The average American don't even have a will. A lot of us die and don't even have a will in place, let alone a trust. We leave our family with the burden of burying us, right? And sorting out our property. When one of the steps we could do is just get a will. That's all I want to say for that.
All right. Israel.
Week 2, types of trust and their functions. This week explores different types of trust, such as revocable, irrevocable, living, testamentary, and special needs trusts. Students will understand how each type functions and the responsibilities involved in managing trust assets.
So these are different types of trust, right? For us, a revocable trust, a irrevocable trust, a living trust, right? These are different styles of trust, types of trust that can be utilized. But your two basic trusts want to come in two basic forms. It's going to be either in statutory form or common law form. And then in the different types of trust within that component, then you're going to have, if this revocable, meaning that the trustee can revoke what he do. Irrevocable means once it's written, it cannot be revoked. And then there's certain protocols that may need to be implemented before they can revoke it. Then you got the living trust, right? A living trust is a trust for the individuals who are identified within the trust, who stating that they are operating in a certain capacity um, in which they can identify with. Then you have a testamentary trust, which is typically a will. Then you have your special needs trust. That's for individuals that may have certain types of needs that they can't do on their own. It just depends on the, like if a person was disabled or something, they can have that. Then you have a what is it, spin thrift trust. It's so many different. It's a lot of different trusts, right? So we're in the class. We're not going to go over every type of trust, but we're going to go over enough where you will have a grip on what kind of trust you think you may need. And as we go on, we can develop these ideas a little more in depth. You know, I talked to my team like I was talking to Brother Israel about a lot of stuff. We was talking about a legacy trust. He said he never heard of that. It's like, you ain't never heard of a legacy trust? He's like, no, I never heard of that. So he looked it up. He was trying to and he looked it up. He was like, wow, it says legacy or dynasty trust. Yeah. A lot of us don't understand the different types of trust and the functionality. So you got your camera on? Just to let you guys know, there are several types of trust that you can utilize, right? But you have to have the basics. It's principles. You can't Like, you can't do this without really understanding the principles. You need some of the constitutional foundation. If you don't really understand the Constitution to the degree that I do, you shouldn't have a very sophisticated process because you don't know how to operate. You shouldn't have 100-page trust and you don't understand some of the basics. You shouldn't have a multi-layered trust and you don't have it, because what you gonna do with it? So I yield. We can move on to the second week, third week.
All right, hold on. Week 3, benefits and limitations of trust. Students will examine the advantages of using trust, including asset protection, tax considerations, and estate planning benefits. The week also covers the limitations and risks associated with trust and strategies to mitigate them.
So when we talk about some of these things, you got to understand that everything boils down to taxes, right? What is some of the tax liabilities? If you look at the IRS code, it talks about several entities. It talks about trust. It talks about estates. It talks about corporations. It talks about different types of individuals, sole proprietorships, and it kind of identify, what they are, so associated with the tax terms, triggering what? Taxation. Okay? Your job is to alleviate as much as possible taxes. You want to not go through tax evasion, you want to go through tax avoidance. How do I avoid taxes? What is the tax strategies that I can use? What does the Constitution say? What is the Constitution say? Because the 3 branches of government is created from that instrumentality. Where's my safeguard, right? In that aspect. How do I really understand the Constitution to understand what my safeguards at? How do I utilize to construct an entity that has these tax safeguards, right, from taxation, and how do I utilize it to my advantage? So these are things that we must identify if you want to deal with asset protection, trust, taxation, and even setting up corporations. So you can have what they call a trust corporation. Most of us don't understand a trust corporation is a trust that owns corporations. How do you utilize these trusts? So I want you to understand your ability to critically think and absorb this information determines what kind of infrastructure you should have. The knowledge that you possess, the better the knowledge you possess, and how you fully absorb this information and how you truly understand it, the kind of knowledge that you absorb and know for over the years determines the type of trust relationships you should have and create. I see so many people, they have all of these trusts, these things, and they don't know what to do with it, how to go about it. So before you get into a trust situation, understand what you just created. Make sure that you have all the knowledge, because if not, your veil going to get pierced, because you're going to do something to make your entity create a minimum contact where they're going to pierce the veil of your entity, whether it's a trust or corporation, where now they can say we have a right to enter into your trust. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Week 4, the role of a trust protector. This week introduces the concept of a trust protector and their importance in trust administration. Students will learn about their duties, powers, and how they can modify trust terms, oversee trustees, and resolve disputes.
So, purpose of a trust protector, simple, to protect the trust. A lot of times, what people don't understand, you can have a trustee that's a thief, and he's stealing from the trust, or he creating contracts where he can benefit from a contractual relationship, and the trust don't specify that he has the right to benefit, or he's doing things outside of his scope, right? So these are things that the trust protector has to review. And the trust protector can remove the trustee when he identifies that the trustee is acting rogue or ultra virus, right? Contrary to this agreement that he has. We can go on.
All right. Week 5, assignors and assignees in contracts. Students will understand the process of assignment in contracts, the legal implications, and the responsibilities of assignors and assignees. The focus is on how rights and obligations are transferred within contractual agreements.
So when we talking about assignors and assignees, when we talking about contracts, so you got bailers, you got bailees, you got different individuals that can associate themselves within a trust or a corporation based on their functions, how to transfer property, how to accept property, right? A trustee must understand how to accept property because a trustee must understand that you can receive stolen goods. That's a crime. So you must have a protocol on how to accept certain property, assets, transfer of property. There has to be deeds. There has to be a bill of sale for certain properties. There has to be a receipt of transactions before it can be deposited into the trust. Why is that? It's very important. So that you don't put property of another in the trust where the trust now can be pierced. That you can show the proper transactions went in place in order for the deposit to be put in the trust res, and now the trust can hold such property, right? And may transfer the rights of such property. Without understanding these things, a lot of us will put things in our trust and get our trust pierced, right? For example, a lot of you think that, oh, I own this and I own that, and you technically don't. Right? You will put your car in a trust when it may need to be in a corporation, and the trustees or the trust beneficiaries may have a right of use under contract. So it's so many things that we will discuss in this trust within these weeks, stuff that we'll be identifying and learning how to do.
Can you repeat? Can you you said something about the car in the trust. Some people think they could put a car in the trust, and can you just
Well, this is what I'm saying.
elaborate on that part?
So
I think
a lot of us abide when I talk about putting a car in a trust, right? In the sense that like Mazda, or let's say Mercedes Benz, you don't own Mercedes Benz, right? You're not an owner of that logo because you don't own that logo. That's intellectual property rights. Somebody already established that. It's trademark. It's patent. So you can't never own Mercedes Benz. What you can own is the rights to use the Mercedes, that vehicle. So how do I know you can't own it? The police couldn't take your car if you truly own it outright. They couldn't tow your vehicle. Step out your car, sir. We're going to tow your vehicle. They couldn't do it. How did they get the right to do it? Because Mercedes filed a patent, right? It's already into the international community where they got an international patent, but then they transferred it to be able to utilize it within the U.S. through treaties and other contracts, right? So now they can sell. This is under international law. This is how they able to. You can do business in other states, just like um, um, Mustangs can be sold, right? Ford. It's a corporate. It's a corporate. It's a U.S. corporation, but they sell Ford Mustangs and all of that Ford products all over the world. So there's treaties, there's other contracts. You can't own the rights that symbol, that Ford, but you can own the right of use of that vehicle because that motor is patent, right? That style, that body type is patent. All of that is already owned. So what you own is the right of the use. So you can't technically own the car per se, but you can own the rights. So you don't want to put something that you technically can't own. Now, if you got other intellectual property that you want to own, you own patents to this lyric, you own rights to music and stuff. Now you can put that in the trust because that was you created that. And the trust can own it, and then the trust can have it all copywritten, and it can assign it to a corporation. That corporation there has the power to distribute it. It's all types of things that you can do, right? But you have to understand entrench yourself with this information so that you can be very articulated when you're expressing these things in your trust, in your contract, so that you don't get lost in misconceptions due to what you've been seeing and hearing on the internet by people who are not astute to this information.
Can you would you also explain to us is the difference between ownership and possession?
Exactly.
I just wanted to let the audience know that you were now in the realm of discussing ownership versus possession.
Right of possession.
Right of possession and versus ownership.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, brother. We can move on.
All right. Week 6. Licensing and rights of publicity, part 1. This week delves into licensing with a focus on the right of publicity, exploring how individuals can control and monetize their image, voice, signature, and other personal attributes. Students will learn about the legal basis of the right of publicity and how to create licensing agreements for personal rights.
So when we're talking about rights of publicity, right? So that's going to fall on within your state. I want you to understand that's going to fall within the state gamut of your state law. So now, here we go. You have the right to control your image, your voice, and how people use your signature and other personal attributes. You have a right to control that. And you can have it copywritten, have it licensing. You can have a non-licensing agreement. You can have a licensing agreement. But I can give Brother Israel, Brother Abdullah, the right to use my image and likeness on the internet, just like right now, right? If I was under contract and I would, let's say with Sony, and they said I couldn't do any of this right here, I couldn't go and speak in public because I'm under contract, they would have to block my face, image, and voice. They would have to distort all of that rearrange my voice for me to even come on this platform. Because I'm under contract already.
Yeah, he's right. He's right with the celebrities. Celebrities.
That's why they do that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's right. Yeah. Yep.
So these are things that we're going to learn so we can better control how people can use our image and likeness in the public forum, right? And in the private forum. This is all about contracts.
Yeah.
This is some good stuff, man. All right. So those who are just joining us, Israel, go back to the flyer. Let's go back to the flyer. Because we'll do that because that's so that those who are joining us and those who will be watching the tape, we can hit the flyer a few times. All right, just reread the flyer, Brother Israel.
So this is the contract and contractual legal safeguards. What's an overview of the trust and contractual legal safeguards. This 12-week course provides an in-depth exploration of trust, contracts, and the legal mechanisms that safeguard them. Our course, Master Trust Functions. Discover the role of a trust protector. Intellectual property law. Demystify assignors and assignees. Understand power of attorney. Navigate licensing, lending, and renting. Strengthen your contracts, and much more. New date, Saturday, May 10th, 2025. Duration, 12 weeks. Start date, Saturday, May 10th, 2025. 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Format, 100% online with live Q&A. It's question and answer sessions. Tuition, $299.99. Moroccan Post for the people. For more information, contact Brother Abdullah Bey at 215-300-5471 or by email at etymologyvocabulary@gmail.com.
Is there a way you could? Is the link too big to be put in the chat? Israel, can you put the link, the Eventbrite link in the chat? Also, my Abdullah Bey Facebook page, the Eventbrite link is on my page. I did post it about 15, 20 minutes ago. Also posted on your Facebook page, Israel, and put that on the. If you could put the link in the Eventbrite link in the chat, because they have to go to the Eventbrite to purchase the course.
Yeah. All right. Let's see.
All right, so we'll continue with the what's that, week 6 or week 7? This one starts again May 10th, from 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, so Israel will be getting to going to week 7. It'll take us to right week 7, right? Yeah, Brother King. Are you going to read week 7 and King will summarize?
Week 7. Licensing and rights of publicity, part 2. Continuing from week 6, students will learn about protecting and enforcing the right of publicity, including unauthorized use and legal remedies. The week also covers leasing personal rights and considerations in the digital age and ethical implications.
So some of the things that we need to understand, because we're moving into this digital form where now they have digital signatures, right? Where now they could do robo signing and different stuff like that. You can control how your signature, right, can be authenticated. Where now there can be processes to determine, okay, did you sign this? Because a lot of these agreements, right, you sign, you go to the bank, they say sign, use this thing, and you sign it, right? Or they tell you to sign, robo sign or sign this, click it and you sign your name right here when you do certain mortgages and stuff like that. But you can control how that can be authenticated. There could be a process within your contract that says once that is done, then a verification or authentication process must be utilized before that signature can be used to be enforced under that contract. So it's ways to go about protecting your digital signature. It's ways to go about ensuring and safeguarding how you go about doing things and moving around in society. Dealing with these corporate structures and this new type of technology. Like, for example, you walk into Kroger's, right? You walk into a store and they got cameras. They're selling your image. They're digitizing you and they're selling your image to third-party entities, right? Private entities that's dealing what? Contracting with government. That got your image. And now they can do facial recognition and all of these different things because you didn't safeguard your rights on the contract. And when you walk into that store, they have the right to do what? Digitize you. Digitize your image. So how do you protect that? How do you do that? These are the things you will learn how to identify and utilize through certain things to protect your image, likeness. So when people get a hold of your digitized image and likeness, right, they can't use it, weaponize it, or use it against you and put you on in a public forum without your consent through a private party that got it and sometimes give it to the government. Because the government contract with private entities all the time. A lot of y'all think that the FBI is government. No. The FBI is a private entity that contract with government. It's not directly a branch of government. There is, I think there's probably, you got, I think 12 departments, and then don't you know the largest body of entities or entities that's contracted with government? It's a lot of entities that you think is government. The Federal Reserve is not government. It's a private entity that contract with government. And these private entities are utilizing your information and giving it to government. Child support is a bill collection. It's a bill collecting agency. It's a private entity that's under contract with the government. Y'all thinking these are not government. They're just private entities that contract with government and that's under the government thumb. And the government give them the rights associated with this contract.
Just joining us, we have there's an upcoming course, 12-week contract, trust and contractual safeguard course. And this is the day's presentation is an overview of the course. Was scheduled to start in May, Saturday, May 10th. Saturday, May 10th at 2:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a 12-week course. You finished with week 7, King?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
Week 8, power of attorney, POA, forms and uses. Students are introduced to the concept of power of attorney and its various forms, including general, special, durable, and medical POAs. The week emphasizes the importance and practical applications of granting POA in financial management and healthcare decisions.
This is very important to have a power of attorney, right? So an individual can act in certain capacity, right? So you need a power of attorney. For example, for a trustee to act in a fiduciary capacity. So these are things that a lot of us don't know. These instruments, you think, oh, I got a trust, so I'm just going to do this. No, where's your power of attorney? A trustee is going to act on your as a fiduciary on your behalf, or he's going to act, or you might have an individual that has medical power of attorney over you if something happened to you. That's someone you trust. You have a special, then you have a general power of attorney, a durable kind. These are all different forms of power of attorneys that we'll be discussing in the class, right? So that you will understand what kind of power of attorney that you think you may need. You want to be able, if you go into a coma, right? You want to be able to have somebody you trust that's over your understand what your consider your terms for as how you want to be treated when you're under a coma, or if you're on your deathbed, how you emphasize some of your religious practices, right? Some of the things that you request before you die. These are all different things that need to be expressed in different forms. So the one that covers a lot of it is a general, right? Then you can specialize, right, what you want to do, and then you have your durable, right? Then you have your medical. So we are getting and emphasizing these things as we express. So a lot of us don't even have a medical power of attorney over our children. So you you should have someone. Let's say you was in a car accident and you can't talk and you paralyzed, and you have 2 young children. Who are you going to trust? You might have your mom. You might have a sister. You might have a brother that need to make medical decisions if something happened to your child while going to school or something like that. This is very important. Having a lot of us don't understand, like let's say we get in trouble or we go to jail. Who are you gonna give power of attorney of your kids to? You don't have to now. You don't have to go to court. If the court, you can give that document to CPS. Hey, hold on, wait a minute. I got power with this person is they trying to take these kids. No, this has already been ironed out before the court. We already have everything. Here's the exhibits of the address and everything. We established this already. If you want further information, you can come to my home and you can investigate my home to make sure my home is decent. But everything is already in place. And then if you're really smart, if you really get it together right, and you really form a communities, then we'll have an institution that makes sure they safeguard our children and they can house our children, that our children have everything they need. Because I think a lot of us forget. It says it takes a village. On our ancient proverbs, it says it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to raise a child. And a lot of us in our younger years, and we are young adults, 20, 21, 18, teenagers having babies having babies, we are not equipped so that the community or the ancestors or the elders of their community, right, pass down the wisdom to help build up the children in the community. And I think that's lackluster in our community now. And I think that's why community is breaking down, because we're not holding each other accountable. We're not forming communities. So now that we can raise our children in a standard of practice based on a cultural base that the community said we're going to set a community standard for us to live by versus in an individual household. I yield.
Week 9, legal considerations of power of attorney. Building on the previous week, students will learn about execution requirements, revocation, termination, and safeguards against abuse of POA. The focus is on legal aspects to ensure the principal's interests are protected.
So just like we got to understand trustees, power of attorneys, all these individuals can abuse it. So let's say you have a financial person got financial power of attorney, right? Fiduciary. They can steal out your account, misappropriate funds. So things you need to have in that to safeguard you when from an individual who does such things. That means you might want to audit every month so that you can see where your money going. A person may have requirement order to have power of attorney must do a 12-week audit or 4-week audit. That you have the right to sit down with them monthly and failure to do that within consideration of this agreement, that they have to then relinquish their role as power of attorney because they're not holding up to their duty of care of dealing with you and your finances. So these are things that most of us don't consider, most of us don't understand. So I advise those, if you're not strong in these areas, that we build up to that. Do not go get a trust, a very sophisticated trust that you do not know how to manage. You talk about management. So when you talk about trustees, I want you to understand you're talking about management. Most of us do not understand management. They don't understand administration and management of things, right? A trust can give a management company to manage its affairs. For example, BlackRock is the largest asset holder in the world. Brother Israel, do you remember how much BlackRock, how much assets they hold?
Was it 11.5 trillion or something like that?
11.5 trillion in assets. It takes 1,000 billion to make 1 trillion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're management. They're managing their management trust. They're managing other people's assets. And they're leveraging other people's assets. And they're controlling everything because they have $11.5 trillion in assets that they can utilize. I ain't say a billion. I ain't say 11 million. I said 11 trillion. These are the people. This is what you get when you got that kind of money. They're leverage your assets. You are part of the elite of the elite. 11 trillion in assets. Ooh. I think it's time for us to catch up and catch on. We can move on to week
All right.
10.
Week 10, Contracts and Safeguard Provisions, Part 1. Students will explore the essentials of a valid contract, including offer, acceptance, consideration, capacity, and legality. The week also covers common safeguard provisions like indemnification clauses and limitation of liability.
So when we're talking about offer acceptance and consideration and capacity contract and legality, so a lot of us, right, don't even know how to contract. A lot of us don't know law. So a lot of us, we go to court. We say, well, we don't, man. I don't want no attorney to represent me. He's a part of the board. He's a part of them, right? But you don't know law. So what do a lot of the major corporations have? They have law firms that protect them, right? You don't know the law. Half of us, I'm gonna be honest, 90% of us do not know the law. We can't legally represent ourselves in no capacity. So why would you take on that responsibility? Here's the catch. You get to pick and choose who you want to represent you. Who do you want to represent you in your best interest? We've been listening to misconceptions for so long, right, that we believe that all the attorneys are evil. They're evil. And that we're jurists, right? And I know there's a difference between the two. But in the reality of life, as it known in our present society, most of us we can't even get out of a traffic ticket, let alone anything else. And we start talking in trust law and assets and stuff like that, you want somebody who's very well informed with this information. You want somebody who have the experience, the know-how, the understanding, and relationships with particular individuals so that they can move about in such capacity where you have favor. I was talking to Brother Israel about favorable conditions and unfavorable conditions. Most of us are in contracts that's unfavorable. Why is that? Because we don't have enough control of anything in society to leverage. We're not coming together to leverage. So I was talking to Brother Israel, and I was talking about how I want to build something, a trust, a community-based trust. And the reason why I was telling him that, I said it's easier to take something from one individual than 20,000 individuals.
Yep.
I can take, this is where this is why nationality is so important. This is why when we talk about nationality and understanding it in the capacity that I'm talking, it's harder to just go take something from one individual than 50,000 or 100,000 or 200,000 or 1,000,000 individuals. That means I'm going to have a lot harder struggle. And that means I'm going to have to go all out war to take it. But if I can keep you in this individual thinking of nationality, I can keep you in this individual thinking, I can just, divide and conquer. It's easy for me to lock you up. It's easy for me to take your assets. Look at what they're doing to all these individual stars. They don't have None of these NFL, none of these elite, some of these celebrities, why they don't have a celebrity trust? Why they don't have something where they unite, where now you can't take their assets. Even if you sue them, you can't get nothing. I don't got nothing, I don't own nothing. Why they ain't came together and figured it out? P. Diddy in jail. Why they want P. Diddy? Because they want them assets he owns. Because if I own it as an individual, they can take it from me. But if we own it as a collective, they have to fight very hard to take it from us. Nationality comes from this very concept. If we own a country as nationals, because that means you have rights, right? The state in which the government in which we form this state from, right? They on equal footing. The government has no more rights than the state. They are equal footing. They share. They're equal in the eyes of the law, right? The government can't. They have rights and you have rights, and the government ain't supposed to encroach those rights when you are a national of that state. Now, in colonialism, there's a little difference. There's a power imbalance. So the natives have been accepted, but they're second class. Pretty much they're second class citizens. They're not looked upon as equal in the eyes of the law. They try to tell you that, but it's a difference. So they control the resources. The people don't. So if this was our state, right? If we was Moors and we had a Moorish government, we can petition the Moorish government for rights because we're native to the land. This is we have rights to the land, right? And the government, the people created the government. The government didn't create the people, and they're under contract. The government is under contract to protect the people. But in the colonial situation, it's a little different. The colonizer is usurping the land, stealing from the natives, and giving them partial benefits and giving you an appearance as if you were that. But I'm just giving you some understanding, right? So these principles that you got to understand, a lot of this stuff comes from a higher understanding and it moves down to a domestic. So a lot of this stuff, like when we talk about trust and trust states and stuff like this, these concepts started, or they're you can find a lot of these things in the international because it mirrors each other. So when we look at this and you have a true understanding of this, you start to see it in the international community. Once you absorb this. So you got to have indemnification clauses. You have limit, like a LLC is a limit, it's a limited liability company. But that has to be spelled out in such a way, because if you're a single owner LLC, they're going to treat you as a sole proprietor. And if you don't know how to contract and set up your LLC correctly, because your trust can own the LLC and you can own shares. You don't have to own it. The trust can own it and you own shares in your LLC, and that'll change the dynamics of what the entity is. And if you understand how to identify, like trustees, certain trustees can have an indemnification clause, right? Indemnifying from certain liability based on being a trustee. And then you might have a limitation of liability based on a contract that's being serviced when there are certain things involved that one party's taking a higher risk to do, and they saying, okay, if we're going to do this, then you have to give us a limitation on liability under this contract. So these are things that you have to understand. And we'll get into the crux of some of this. We'll have a lot of examples and stuff so people can grasp the idea. Continue.
Week 11, Contracts and Safeguard Provisions, Part 2. Continuing contract studies, students will learn about confidentiality agreements, termination clauses, and dispute resolution mechanisms. The focus is on drafting effective contracts with robust safeguard provisions to mitigate risks.
So when we talk about confidentiality agreements, termination clause, these are things that you need to have in your contract. So, like a non-disclosure, an NDA, right? A lot of the famous people have individuals sign NDAs, right? They, like Kanye West, he had with Amber Rose, he had a NDA, right? And it lasted for maybe 7 years. What she couldn't discuss anything they were doing personally into the public because he signed an NDA, right? A lot of
Yep.
So we're talking about utilizing different types of contractual agreements, right? NDAs, confidentiality, what we call trade secret agreements. If you got a corporation, a LLC, would you have a trade secret agreement? Trade secret agreement made all certain individuals in here has to have a trade secret agreement where they can't utilize you can't give out their name, telephone number, or information, right? You have anonymous, right? You have anonymous corporations, a corporation that has the right to keep certain information anonymous, right? These are all of these different things that you have to know, and these done through contracts. So through agreements, through contracts. So if you don't understand how to set your stuff up, right? So a lot of us, this is how the government take control over situations because they got too much access to information. And the rich and powerful, guess what? It's going to be hard for you to sue them because it's going to be hard for you to get the information because most of us don't have the money to dig up the paper trail. And the only way you're going to be able to get and sue certain rich and powerful people if you are rich and powerful yourself and you know how to go about doing it and digging it up. This is how Fortune 500 corporations, high assets, do a lot of stuff where you can't even touch them if you try it because your money ain't that long. This is a game of knowledge. Less you know, the less you get. The more you know, the more you can do.
Anything else you want to say? All right, wait, week 12. All right.
So week 12, Constitutional Studies with course review and Q&A session. In the final week, students will spend the first hour on constitutional studies, exploring how a national constitution is a national trust. This will provide a broader legal context and understanding of the foundational laws governing these areas.
Abdullah, you been on here so quietly. I'm gonna bring you in on this a little bit, my brother, because I know y'all know. I'm gonna bring you and brother Israel. I'll let y'all go ahead.
Well, start it off, and then we'll chime in.
Okay, so this is what you guys need to understand, right? I talked about the Constitution, right? So that you guys can start understanding how the Constitution plays in all of these things in our affairs, in our daily affairs. So, understanding these fundamental principles, fundamental rights, private rights. I hear a lot of people talking about the public and the private, the public and the private. All we're talking about is governmental rights and individual private or rights. We're talking about personal rights of government and your personal rights. When we talk about private rights, that's what they're talking about. Personal rights, government personal rights. Certain rights were granted to the government, and certain rights fundamentally was identified within the Constitution that belonged to every man and woman and child. That the government said we're not going to encroach. Why do they say that? Do y'all understand why? Because if not, then what are we? We're slaves. We're property. So under the constitutional fold of government, can't have no property. You can't use human as chattel. So if you don't have no personal rights, then you're property. In the context of understanding the Constitution. So the government, this is why they said we won't encroach upon these fundamental principles. So we're going to talk about the First Amendment, Second Amendment, some of the amendments in which you need to understand, right, on this course and how the Constitution plays a role and give remedy and puts restrictions on government and understanding the constitutional question at hand. Did this statute impose upon a personal right? Is this statute, do this subjugate my personal rights, my ability to think freely as under the Constitution, under the First Amendment? Do this statute, do we challenge the constitutionality of some of these statutes? We don't even challenge some of these constitutionality of the statute because some of these statutes are too restrictive. And it encroach upon your personal rights based on the language, the substantive language in the statute itself, in which now it can be too vague. It can be too encumbersome. It can be unreasonable. These are constitutional questions. These are things that you need to know when looking at statutes and understanding how do this statute play a role in my life. How, because this is a creature of legislation, this is a creature of the state, this is a creature of government when we're looking at statutes. It's a creature of that. And what you do is you attach yourself to a thing that in which the government control, and now it latch on to you. And you didn't put any contractual safeguards where you disengage yourself from that thing. You allow that thing to entrench you and cover you, and you don't know how to articulate how to utilize such thing as a statute or LLC or entity, that now you can't go to court and defeat the statute itself. So exploring how a national constitution is a national trust, right? I got my main man Abdullah. He can definitely explain this, and my brother Israel can explain this. And then we're going to talk about a broader legal context, understanding the fundamental laws govern these areas. So, do you want to elaborate on exploring how a national constitution is a national trust, Abdullah?
Now, yes. Now you have. I'm going to. I'll come from this angle with the word "people" used in the political sense. You have embodied in the Constitution. There's the national name, or the identity, state identity, or the sovereign name of the state, the People Republic of China, the people of Burkina Faso, the people of France, the people of Italy, the people of Spain. So that's the constitutional name or national name or state identity or identity of the sovereign state that's embodied Constitution. That the word people used in the political sense, you have the word people used in the general sense, the people playing in the park. That's the word people used in the general sense. The word people used in the legal sense, the people of Burkina Faso. The word people means the repository, means a storehouse, the repository of the collective sovereignty of the people. So reposit, place, or put, POS, RE is the prefix. So the collective sovereignty of the people are embodied or stored in the national constitution. So this so come leading into why it's a national trust. The officials who are elected. So you have the offices are drafted in the Constitution. So the one who's elected to the office holds that office in trust. The office does not belong to the one who is elected. The office belongs to the people. So I'm going to continue to explain. The official, what's embodied is the sovereignty. The sovereignty, a portion of the sovereignty of the nation is embodied in that office. So that would what determines whether one is an official is that the portion of the sovereignty is vested in the office. So the Constitution. So we're talking about constitutional jurisprudence. So tying this to constitutional jurisprudence in order to understand, so that people can understand that the Constitution is a national trust. And so I'm giving you another example with a portion of the sovereignty, so to determine that the office does not belong to, they say, Israel's elected. That's not Israel's office. Like he holds that in trust. So elected officials are trustees. So here's the structure again. The structure, Constitution is a national trust. So you have the trust itself, the Constitution. All right. So you have the the officials are the trustees. They administer their trusts, and the people being the beneficiaries of the trust. And they are protected, you know, under the trust. Now their personal rights, the people's personal rights, also known as fundamental rights, are drafted in the Constitution. So, but they don't come from the Constitution. So even though that you have a section in the Constitution called Bill of Rights and other Constitution fundamental rights, those fundamental rights don't come from the Constitution. Those fundamental rights are personal rights or fundamental rights that are drafted, and not all of them. You have maybe 10 that are drafted in a national constitution, but there are personal rights. So this to continue to explain that a constitution is a national trust. Israel, you want to add to that?
Just you kind of hit everything. Also want to add that the people would also be the grantor as well.
Yes, thank you. The people also be the grantor, and then so let's go. That ties to the word people again. Right. So Israel said the people also are the grantors. Once again, the word people used in a political sense. That means the people, the collective sovereignty of the people are vested in that constitution. So this is why, you know, this is why Israel said that the people are also the grantors, because they are the creators of the trust. Yeah. And that's why you have that word people. The people of Burkina Faso, the people of France, the people of Germany. People are not, like I said, just to reiterate, because a lot of people don't know this. They'll see the word people and they think it's, because all they know about the word people is the people in the park, the people in the mall. That's used in the general sense, but that's not used in a constitutional sense. You know, we the people, or the people of Germany. All right. So now just saying the people, you have to identify the national name has to be connected, because it's not the people in a constitution. Like the people alone. You cannot show me any constitution in the world where it just reads the people. So the people of Burkina Faso, the people of blank, the people of, not just the people. That means, because you have to identify the constitutional name, the national name, or the state's identity, or the identity of the sovereign state. Right? So, and that is a international law requirement, because that national name or state identity or identity of the sovereign state is how that state is interchanged in trade and commerce with other nations, and how they interface with the family of nations by their national name, or by their constitutional name, or state identity, or identity of the sovereign state. I'm just giving all four, all interchangeable. All right, I just want to be thorough with it. Yep. Brother King. Yep. Israel, you want to add anything else? Want to add to that?
Give me a second. I'm gonna come back in.
All right, no problem. All right.
I just want to read this little piece right here.
Yes, please do.
The grantor transfers their property into a trust. effectively making the trust the legal owner. This process is often described as vesting the property in the trust. So just wanted to point out the difference between vesting and investing. So the people.
All right. Yes.
Yeah.
Let me do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to use the United States Constitution. Article 1, Section 1, Article 2, Section 2, Article 3, Section 2 of the United States Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
Article 1, Section 1 of the United States Constitution. Legislative power shall be vested in Congress, and it says House of Representatives. So vested. So you have VESTED, vested, and you have invested, INVESTDED, or invest. They're not to be interchanged.
Right.
Vest means inherited. Inherited. It's inherit power. So each branch of government. So the word vest creates the three branches, because the legislative power is vested in Congress. The executive power is vested in the president. The judicial power is vested in the Supreme Court. So that word vested, it's inherited. Invested is delegated. So that's the cabinets, the departments. So let's continue using United States. The departments, the Department of Education, Department of Housing and Development, Department of Defense. All right. Now, all of those departments, though Congress created those departments, all right, but each one of those secretaries, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of Education, Secretary of Homeland Security, Secretary of Commerce, all of those duties, that those various duties that those various secretaries hold, that's vested in the president. They don't have no vested power. Like, none of those secretaries have no vested power. Like, let's go to the Constitution.
Right.
Executive power, like, it's vested in what? They don't say executive power is vested in the Secretary of Commerce, the Secretary of Defense, the Secretary of Housing and Development. The Secretary doesn't read that. It says executive power shall be vested in the President of the United States of America. So none of those secretaries have any vested power. I mean, Congress creates the agency, but the power itself of all those departments is vested in the president.
Yep.
That's it. It's just reading it. All right. Article 1, Section 1, Article 2, Section 1, Article 3, Section 1. Because that's the vested power.
So that covers the vested. What about the invested? The invested powers in the Constitution.
All right. Well, the invested powers, the secretaries. The secretaries operate on an invested power.
Yeah. So the Congress
means delegated power.
Right.
Yeah. The Secretary of Defense, Secretary. So the president, now he appoints the various secretaries. He appoints the various secretaries that are confirmed by the Senate. So that's your checks and balance. It's your checks and balance. That's a safeguard measure. Checks and balance is a safeguard measure. All right.
Right.
So we talking about contractual legal safeguards.
Mm-hmm.
So embodied in that is this safeguard measures, and that's also a legal principle regarding in the United States. That's a legal checks and balance. Is a legal principle within the United States. You have federalism. Federalism is a major legal principle that you have that's not in the Articles of Confederation. Federalism does not exist as a principle within the Articles of Confederation. So you had the anti-federalists and federalists. The federalists were those who wanted the Constitution to be what? Ratified and move forward. The anti-federalists were against that. Now the Ku Klux Klan are anti-federalists. So that was brought up later on. So that was brought up again. All right. That was brought up again 70 years later with the Ku Klux Klan when it said states' rights. So when the Ku Klux Klan says states' rights, Articles of Confederation, states' rights, Articles of Confederation, states' rights, Articles of Confederation. That's interchange. States' rights, Articles of Confederation. I mean that they were still pushing 70 years later. 7 years after the ratification of the Constitution, they were pushing to go back to the Articles of Confederation, states' rights, because on the Articles of Confederation, the states had more power. There was no central. There was not a strong central. There was a central governing body, but there was not a strong central governing body. There was no federalism. So it was not a strong central governing body. There was no national Supreme Court. There was a weak central governing body. So just giving them, I remember I said this weekend after I was interviewed, I was at the Church of Scientology, had the open house in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and I was being interviewed. And I was asked questions because I won my Moorish Fest. And after the interview, they was asking me some more questions. I went in and I said, as I was leaving out the door, I said, I know more United States history than most, over 90%, over maybe 100% of high school history teachers. I would say over 100% of high school history teachers. Yeah. A lot of, they said, I believe that. I believe because I was going in. Like I was going in tonight. I was going in, man. Yes.
Yeah.
Because when I talk history, I also talk the law. Like I'm not just, where you have one who knows the law and history, because a historian just knows history. So an historian and an international jurist will work well together. But a historian, they would just say, well, China and France, was at war in such and such year, and they just talk about the events of the war, and then China and France signed the treaty, the end of war. That's a historian. Whereas a international jurist, they would go into, secession state, predecessor state, peace treaty, the terms of the peace treaty, territorial sovereignty. They would use international terminology, and a historian, they don't know that. So I like you. Israel knows me, and those who've been following me for a while. I like to be deep. I like to give. I just can't make a statement, and I have to give examples of what I mean, so y'all can see it. I need y'all to see it. or comprehend, grasp what I'm saying. Right. So I have to give some details so that you can understand if I'm making a difference between an international jurist or a historian. I have to give examples so you can grasp what I'm saying. Otherwise, it would be like, Israel must have heard me say this 100 times. What's the difference between my saying, international jurist and historian? There's difference. And if I don't give any details, and if I say that, and I say buta, what's the difference? Because neither one of you would understand. Buta, or if I give a statement, if I say something that's vague, what would be the difference? No difference. Because neither one of you would understand. And King often says the devil's in the details. Brother King, you with us? He's doing this. King is doing this deliberately because he wants me to go in. He's doing this deliberately. But I love the brother. He wants me to go in. That's why he wants me to go in. He's like, man, that's why he said, Abdullah, you've been over there quiet. Because he had the floor, but he wanted me to go in because he knows I can go in. Yeah. So, Israel, what's the next slide? Because I might be able to. Because that was the constitutional. Now I can go in with the constitutional studies.
Right.
Yeah.
And we made it clear enough for real. But yeah, this is the last slide right here. The remainder of this session is dedicated to reviewing all the concepts learned throughout the course. An interactive Q&A session will allow students to clarify any doubts and discuss practical applications. First hour, constitutional studies, how a national constitution is a national trust. The overview of jurisprudence/philosophy of law. Legal principles as the foundation to run government. Rule of law and constitutional governance. Rule of law, constitutional governance, and the protection of fundamental rights/individual rights and civil liberties. Constitutional clauses affecting contractual obligations. Case studies illustrating constitutional influence on trust and contract law. Course review and Q&A session. Number 1, comprehensive review of course material, recap of key topics from weeks 1 through 11. Number 2, interactive Q&A session addressing students' questions for clarification. Number 3, discussion, sharing insights, experiences, and practical applications. And 4, course evaluation, providing feedback on the course experience.
Have here, because I dealt with how national constitution, national trust, the overview of jurisprudence, the philosophy of law. All right, so you have the philosophy of law, which deals with the foundation, the foundation. So you have the rules of the court. So I can just get so people can see. King, are you there? Because I want you to jump in with this. The rules of the court as an example. Where the jurisprudence of philosophy of law would be why particular rules of court exist. What are the foundation? What is the philosophy? What is the philosophy upon which the various rules of the court are constructed or built? So you have let's explain the difference, where someone would just be able to articulate, an attorney would be able to articulate the various rules of the court or procedures, court procedures, whereas the philosophy would be the essence or the foundation upon which the procedures, why this particular procedure, what is the philosophy behind this particular procedure or various rules of the court All right, so that's the difference. All right. We have Brother King. The overview of legal principles as the foundation to run the government. You want to deal with that, and I can.
Give me 5 more minutes, Brother Israel, because I got a call from work.
All right. Israel, you want to discuss a little bit the legal principles as the foundation to run government out, and I'll camel back on that.
All right. So so the legal principles are the foundation to run government. The legal principles, let me see. So the legal principles lay at the base. They're the foundation, the basis of all legal systems. Right. So the legal system is how the government functions. It's going to let you know what type of how the government is going to function based on the legal system. And there are 5 main legal systems. You have the common law legal system, civil law legal system, customary law legal system, religious /
ecclesiastical.
Yeah, and mixed law legal systems. So
it will be a mixture between common law and civil law. If that then when it says mix. Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. So the legal principles guide the legal system. So the legal principles, that's your compass, basically, in a sense. That's how King put it one time. But it's a compass, though. It shows you which way to go, why to go, which, the way that you're gonna go. Let me see. So the legal print, let me see. That's kind of legal principles. They're the underpinning of the legal system.
Absolutely. And the primary one is the rule of law. We have here the rule of law and constitutional governance, rule of law, constitutional governance, and the protection of fundamental rights, individual rights / civil and civil liberty. They're interchangeable. Bill of Rights, fundamental rights, individual rights, civil liberties, or personal rights. Yeah. They're interchangeable. Mm-hmm. And you have a lot of constitutions that will use the term fundamental rights. But I just want the audience to know that personal rights, fundamental rights, Bill of Rights, individual rights, civil liberties are interchangeable. Because they'll see all of them. Mm-hmm. They'll see all 5 or 6 terms in different literature. So we need to offer that to them.
Yeah.
So the primary legal principle is the rule of law, and you have there are elements of the rule of law: accountability, no arbitrariness, equality before the law. And so there are the rule of law, as Israel says, the foundation or the bedrock of a legal system, or legal principles are the bedrock. But the primary rule of law is the primary bedrock of the legal system.
The cornerstone.
Cornerstone. Now Israel gave us the 5 major legal systems in the world. Now, when we hear legal system, the general public, because they're not astute in jurisprudence, they're not astute in constitutional jurisprudence, they're not astute, that they're not aware that a legal system is, a common law, or civil law or ecclesiastical law. When they hear legal system, they think of criminal, or what's it called, a justice system.
Yeah.
They'll refer to the
Courts.
justice, courts. Thank you, courts. That's the word I was looking for. Courts.
Mm-hmm.
They associate, which is incorrect. They associate because they have not been taught foundation. They associate the term legal system with court. That is incorrect. We have to be clear because you're being robbed of an education when that is done. To associate the term legal system to court is handicapping you, robbing you. Court is a component of a legal system. Court is not a legal system. Once again, give them the 5 legal systems.
Common law, civil law, mixed law, customary law, religious/ecclesiastical.
Exactly. So court don't fall on it. So court does not fall under that. Court is a component. So legal systems have components. And court is a component of a legal system. And I like to just reiterate different points because, when you are 20 years, 40 years, 50 years, 70 years, and you hear thousands of times, legal system, and then court, legal systems, court, legal system. And you hear that thousands of times for 20, 30, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, right. So it's not like you're going to get it like that because what you've been indoctrinated for 40, 30, 20, 50 years and heard thousands of times, right? Because that's incorrect. You're being robbed. You're being handicapped.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're here to open you up.
Right. And also to recap on the philosophy of law, so the rule of law is a legal principle, and the philosophy behind that legal principle is no one is above the law.
Yep, that's one of one of the elements. Yep, when no one's above the law. Absolutely.
The philosophy behind
that's a major element of it. No one's above the law.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Equality before the law.
Mm-hmm.
No arbitrariness.
Yeah. Transparency.
Transparency. Those are the elements of the rule of law, which is the primary legal system. You have the finding of facts, conclusion of law, operation of law.
Evidentiary standards.
Finding of facts would be falls on that. Yeah, finding of facts, conclusion of law. We have the because rule of law is the primary one. Mm-hmm. Operation of law.
Operation.
Yeah, operation of law. Yeah, so this is. Are you with us, King? We're gonna be ending in. Let's. We have any? Well, before we fill any questions, we go to questions. I want King to come back on. Mm-hmm. So we got 15 minutes. Then we have here constitutional clauses affecting constitutional contractual obligations, case studies illustrating constitutional influence on trust and contract law, course review and Q&A session, comprehensive review of course material, recap of key topics from weeks 1 to 11, interactive Q&A sessions addressing students' questions for clarification. And that'll be throughout. This will be throughout all 12 weeks, interactive and Q&A sessions addressing students' questions for clarification. That's throughout all 12 weeks. Discussions, share insights, experiences, and practical applications. That's throughout all 12, will be all throughout all 12 weeks. Course evaluation, provided feedback on the course. Yeah, we're going to give a course evaluation form for y'all, for the students to fill out. Can you with us? I don't want to fill any questions right now till I need him to. Are any questions in the chat or comments, Israel, you see?
Yeah, that's some comments.
You want to read? Yeah, let's read some of the comments.
All right. Malik Day, Native Moore.
All right, King is back. Good.
All right.
My man Michael. I love you, Mike. Mike just text me. He said King is gone. and that's when Mike text me, he said King is gone, and you said I'm back. All right, so King, we're gonna I'll read the questions, comments, and then questions, Israel.
All right. So Malik Day, Native Moore, peace and love, family. Then we have Kenneth L. Bay, greetings, Moorish Moroccans. The law is nothing without equity, and equity is everything, even without the law. John Bouvier, Institutes of America Law.
Brother King.
So you got to understand that law has evolved, right? Equity at one point was the axis in which all law was birthed from. But if you look at life, if you look at society, it has developed and grown into its own unique situation. We didn't have automobiles, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have certain things or devices at certain points in time. So as the law evolved, equity has took on many different forms. Due process is birthed out of equity. The rule of law is birthed out of equity. But these are children of equity. They're not exactly equity. They have elements or appearance of equity. But they're structured in such a way they have their own unique characteristics. Due process. What is due process? It's the process that's due, right? When we look at how the court is going to make a ruling, right? So what are the components of due process, right? A right to be heard, a right to have witnesses on your behalf, a right to present evidence, a right to confront your accusers, right? These are due process, right? But due process sits under the rule of law. So we have to understand when we talk about things, we have to understand the structure, how law is now being structured, how the philosophy and these principles now have been set, right? Because once the principle is set, it's set in stone. The principles are the building block, right, of the legal system. And these legal principles, right, was created from a philosophy of thought that was cemented into this building that we call the legal system, and that now we birth these legal components, courthouses and different things like that, agencies that deals in certain legalities. So we have to understand how this stuff function, the functionality. We keep talking about equity, but equity, what is equity? in the legal sense, in the etymology as it relates to equity. What is the one word that a lot of people try to say? It's fairness, just, equity. That's what it is. Fair and just. How do you determine something fair and just? It has to be equal on both sides. Both parties have to have the same rights, right? It can't be not evenly yoked. If one party got this, the other party have the same right. But what is articulated that we need to understand when we talk about due process of law and we're dealing with equity, right? That this law that we're talking about, it is a science. The legal system is scientific in the sense that it uses a particular formula based on the concept and the philosophies that's being used to create these concepts. And you must understand these elements that's being utilized under each concept, or you're going to be off. You're going to be off. You got to know what elements lie in due process. You got to know what elements lie in the rule of law. You got to know the elements. These are the factual basis on how law, when we look at things and we look at it through, like if we had a microscope, right? If we was looking at something through a microscope, right? You can, based on certain things through our observation, you can identify certain things because it's going to be consistent in its makeup. This is how you can identify certain things from certain other things because it's consistent in its makeup. So I want us, when we start talking about law and equity and we start talking about jurisprudence, that we start understanding the particulars, right? The elements necessary to go with these words, these expressions, these terms, right? Because in order to understand what this term is, you got to understand the elements that exist for that term. And if you don't know the elements, then you're going to use the wrong term and disassociate or misappropriate the law, and where now your legal argument is going to be defeated because you don't know the elements. This is how you beat cases. I examine what's there. I say, what's here? What's going on? Okay? They charging you with this. So we got to understand, what is they charging you with? What is the elements that have to exist before this charge can even be brought about? And then we got to look at the rule of law. We got to look at due process. Is these things, right, incorporated in what they did? Because the Constitution said they got to guarantee this. And if they don't do this, everything else they doing, the only thing we have is tyranny. There's no justice because they're not following the constitutional fold, right, of government in which they say we're going to stand on. Then everything else, it doesn't matter because they're not standing on due process of law, utilizing the rule of law to do their just due. That makes sense to everyone?
Yeah, that was needed because that we just can't have that statement out there without clarity. All right. Thank you. Next, Israel. Is there a question you see?
Let's see. There's a lot of statements.
Okay, could read another statement. Keep it going. Keep it flow.
Someone says they're stealing now from the public trust.
They stealing, you say, what is it again?
They're stealing now from the public trust. I don't know who they're referring to.
They're probably talking about officials in the United States, right? That's all. I mean,
they been stole the Moorish Trust. They've been stealing for.
Oh yeah, I mean, shucks. If we don't have much time to go, I'm not gonna go because we don't have much time. So, because we got 5 minutes left. Yeah, let's go to another one because we don't have.
Someone
We
said,
got we got stuff out there. If they can refer to give them the class, Israel, we did that's based on our book. If they go to the Moroccan Post School, Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. Also, the Magnus Crystal's Pyramid, this YouTube page as well. We did it on here as well.
Yeah. Sister,
Man, y'all brothers
Sister
is
Lisa
bad,
says,
man. Y'all brothers bad. I tell y'all. I tell everybody, I say, man, brother Israel, brother Abdullah, man, I was telling them, I said, man, I'm telling these brothers they bad, man. Abdullah done changed the way I think about law has evolved me. I thought I was bad before. I said, shh. Man, I got with this brother, and then now I'm working with brother Israel. They turned me on to a whole nother level. Took me to a whole nother level, brothers and sisters. I'm telling you. This is good. This is good. This is really good. I ain't gonna lie. I'm proud to be a part of this.
yeah,
Right on.
same here.
And y'all already know mine. I'm ecstatic, brother. Shucks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sister Lisa Flores,
we got time for one more. We're gonna end.
She says, peace to all on this platform, learning to no end, perfection on teaching skills to deliver knowledge correctly.
Now we got we got time for other ones. Go ahead. We got about 2 or 3 more. If they're just statements, we're good. Mm-hmm.
Someone said, what date does the course begin? That's May 10th.
Yeah, May 10th.
May 10th.
And did you were you able to put the link into the chat?
It was too long.
It's too long. That's what I thought. All right, go to my Abdullah Bay's Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
Put in Abdullah Bay, and I posted it just before this class. That's before 2 hours ago, just before we went on, and I'll repost it. In fact, I'm going to put the link above this video, above the link above this video here. That's already on my Facebook page. I'll just copy the link, and I'll repost the flyer for the course, May 10th, from 2 to 5.
Yep. It'll be on my Facebook page as well. Israel. Yeah. So Blackfoot Development Trust, as a question, says, when this course is completed, will I know how to place my vehicle or house in a protected trust?
All right, go ahead, King. That's the last question.
Okay. So yeah, you should be able to take now some of the basics, because I'm gonna teach you foundation. You got to understand foundation, because a lot of us don't understand why do you even need a trust, right? So I was explaining to brother Israel about why do you want a common law trust? What would that be the purpose? So the purpose of common law trust, as we look at, is we're gonna go back to the Constitution. You have a right to contract unlimited, outside of the statutory legislation scope. So under the common law, right, that is identified that we have an unlimited right to contract. And I mean, you can create a trust, and we can contract with as many people that we want. And it's constitutionally protected. So when we think about things and about putting cars and land and different stuff into a trust, what are the things, what is the foundation of why you want to do that? It's just to protect what you have. How much can you protect it? Now, one of the questions is, I'm just going to throw it out there. We're in a colonized state. We're in a colonized condition. We are under subjugation and cession. Under subjugation and cession, under international law. So, I want us not to pretend, yeah, you might can put your stuff in the trust, but until we get our national status back as Moors and get our state, then we would truly be protected. That is the best trust.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say that, hey, these people won't come and do what they 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 dis they dishonored what we had going on with them. So what do you think? But you can have something in place, right, to have some legal standing. But our goal is to eventually move to the national standard where now we can gain statehood back and form government that truly protect us because that's the ultimate trust. That's
Very well put.
Right.
All right, my brothers and sisters. All right. Sign up now. Sign up now. Get your seat. Get your ticket. All right. Go onto the Eventbrite, Abdullah Bey's Facebook page, Brother Israel's Bey's Facebook page. All right. Well, as soon as we get off, we're going to reshare. I'll go back to the yeah. Tell you what, Israel, we're going to reread the flyer before we close out.
Trust and contractual safeguards. This 12-week course provides an in-depth exploration of trust, contracts, and the legal mechanisms that safeguard them. Our course, Master Trust Functions. Discover the role of a trust protector. Intellectual property law. Demystify assignors and assignees. Understand power of attorney. Navigate licensing, lending, and renting. Strengthen your contracts, and much more. New date, Saturday, May 10th, 2025. Duration, 12 weeks. Starting date, Saturday, May 10th, 2025. From 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Format, 100% online with live Q&A sessions. Tuition, $299.99. Moroccan Post for the people. For more information, contact Brother Abdullah Bey at 215-300-5471 or by email at etymologyvocabulary@gmail.com.
All right. All right, my brothers and sisters. Once again, the links will be shared to various Telegram pages throughout the week. All right, up until so we're encouraging people to sign up as soon as they can. We still have open slots available. All right, so thank you again. My website, mooresandmasonry.org, for my books, Moors and Masonry Part 1, Moors and Masonry Part 2, How Our Venus and Moon Rule, Etymology Vocabulary. Etymology Vocabulary is something that you won. The Masonic Compass Square, the connection to timekeeping. I want to give a salute to Brother Hank for offering this platform, magnets, crystals, pyramids, YouTube. There are we have the past recorded classes, other classes. Hank have had wonderful guests on, who'll have more guests. They'll have guests on during the course of the week. All right. So if you haven't liked the video, subscribe to the page, hit that notification button. All right. So until next week, all right, peace, everyone. Thank you.